voila, I see it. I get a message, recording in progress. So it will be available on PM Fair on our website. And special for this session, Caroline asked me, please activate your camera and your microphone can be on. Normally, we always ask, switch off your camera, switch off your mic, but now, very special, we ask you, do both of them. Okay, so important is the PDU code. We will put it later again in the chat, but you know how to claim your PDUs, because it's a bit different than last year. Now we have a PDU code for each session. So don't forget, you see it here, to claim your PDU code if you wanted to. Okay, so like I told you, that's all I want to tell you. I'm very happy to welcome Caroline and Liz, because they are two of them. And I will stop sharing my screen. And it's nice that even we are now Wednesday, almost evening, that we still have 25 people joining us. So this means we are on the right track. So I'll stop sharing and I would say, Caroline, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed. And we stop sharing one. And I make bold to share my my own. So I will put it on this one. So can you see my beautiful
perfect
screen? Yes.
Perfect.
So we are having a dialogue session on power and influence. And let me tell you something about myself. I shared it with the before that. I founded together with some colleagues, the Foundation GoodGovernance.NU, and we concentrate on dialogue and yes, forming a community of practice in which people are experimenting and sharing knowledge on new ways to really, yes, make a difference in the world. And this is, of course, very much aligned with the theme of this conference, which is social responsibility and sustainability. Well, I'm a management consultant and facilitations, and I'm doing a lot of roundtable sessions, and learning is my specialty in sharing experiences and learning. And I wrote a book and I wrote some articles. Well, that's me. And I work with Liz. Liz, please, can you tell me something about something about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. I'm really excited to be joining this session today, so thank you all for coming. My name's Liz Early. I'm originally from the United States. Maybe you can hear that from my accent, but I live in the Netherlands. I've already lived in Amsterdam for many, many years, where I actually met Caroline, and together with her worked to establish the Foundation GoodGovernance.NU. What I do in my other professional life, I work for an NGO called IRC WASH. It's called the Center of Water and Sanitation, the International Center for Water and Sanitation. And we work to try and deliver on SDG 6, which is for clean water and access to sanitation for everyone in the whole world. So that's a pretty big job. One of my other specialties is project management. Before I moved to the NGO sector, I worked for various corporates, always on complex projects that were global in scope. So I hope that I can share some of my experiences with you today and also learn something from you.
Thank you, Liz. That is very good. Well, we made an agenda or a program for today. You see the welcome and introduction. We are in the middle of that. And then we will have, we call it setting the scene. So I will tell you a little bit what I learned about power and how to understand power a little bit. We present a case, like Liz told you, and then we go out in breakout rooms. And I sent you a small presentation before this session, because we have some questions to ask you to work with in the breakout rooms. And I thought it's easier if you have it before. If you don't remember it or don't have it, it doesn't matter. We can put this questions in the chat so you can see it. And then when we go out in the breakout rooms, we come together again for the plenary session, because in the breakout rooms, we share stories and we talk together. But then it's important to come together and to say, yes, and how do we analyzed in the breakout rooms, but how do we translate this to action? Because you learn something, this is very important, but also we want to discuss, do you want to change something in the way you go on with power? And do you want to, did you get some ideas about how you can handle it and how you can, become more proficient in working with power? And then we invite you to stay in the room, actually, because Zoom stays open for more dialogue. And depending on what we are talking today, we can facilitate a little bit more the action, the talking about what to do in difficult situations. So this is what we want to do now. And of course, we all want to achieve something from this workshop. So I wrote down the learning objectives of the workshop, and it is an insight in the power dynamics, because power is not something, it's there all the time, but we are persons, we are people, we interact together. And then there comes a dynamic. And there I want to focus on today, so we can gain insight in what's going on in the power dynamics. And we learn from each other by sharing stories, because understanding power is not so much about the brains. It is about the brains, but it's also about seeing it, recognizing it. There's a famous story about the fish who only knows what is the water. When you are out of the water as a fish, then you understand how important the water is. And for us handling power, it's just like we always do. And that is important, because if you want to change the world, you also need to change a little bit about how you see and work with power. So here we go, actually. And I use the word power very much, but the question is, of course, what is power? And I put down a beautiful definition of power, a quote, and he is from Mark Mulder. He's a very famous Dutch psychologist who was internationally well known. And what I like about this power is this an ability to determine, to some level, of course, the behavior of somebody else. So this is what I like about it. It is an ability. So you don't have to use your power. You can use the ability you have, and you can use it in a way. And here you see also that it is more, you have power if you have more ability to determine the behavior than the other person has to determine to you. You see? So what I like about this definition from Mark Mulder is that suddenly power is not absolutely, you have it or you have it not. No, it is relative. So in one situation, you can be very powerful. In another situation, not so much. You see? So it is depending on a specific context. There is a relationship between you and somebody else, and that is the dynamic. And this is what we see in the relationship between the powerful and the less powerful. So power is essentially in a relationship. And I thought, well, how do I define power play? Well, this is the way people use it, and this is the way they interact together. And if one does that, and then the other comes, and then and found. So we get patterns and behaviors, and this is what I call I call this a power play. And both of these I want to explore more in this workshop, which means that I'm talking a little bit, but I really do hope that more time you will talk together and share stories about how you handle this power and power relationships. But now first we have an intermezzo. And we want to talk. I just explained to you that power is usually happening in a relationship. So choose one of your working roles. Maybe think about I was a customer, or I'm a project manager, or I'm an employee or a colleague. So you just think about maybe one of your projects, maybe one of your experiences. And with that in mind, you try to understand how much power do you have in this working relationship. Margarita, please, can you start the poll? Because we really made a poll and I really invite you. Can you all see the poll? You are very invited to fill in and check how much power you have in that relationship. Some people are still answering. Yes. Not everybody can do, because we have some co-hosts here and the co-hosts cannot answer the poll. So I really think that we are, yes. 1 second again to make your vote, please. Can I have your votes? Yes.
Sounds like the song festival.
Yes, that's correct.
May I have your votes, please?
Yes, I think that's
Leave
it.
it for another 5 seconds, so we are to around minute, and end it and present the results. So
No, I think
now.
Okay.
So you should be seeing the results now.
Can everybody see the results now?
Yes.
Yes, you all can see the results.
No, I can't see it.
You can see it?
No, I can't see it now.
Okay, I will tell the results. So you just mention, you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you put it on a note and you say 6% is 1 and 6% is 2 and 50% is 3 and 38% is 4 and nobody is powerful, has 5, nobody.
Oh no.
No, there's nobody who really think, yes, I can do this. So this is why everybody understands that power is a relationship and you're never 100% and you're never, but you might be very powerful, you know, it doesn't mean that. So somebody who explains, I've got 4, number 4, please, can one of the persons who said, I have 4, can you tell me a little bit what you think about? What was this about? Please unmute your unmute your
microphone. Yeah, hi, Saskia here. I was one of the 4s.
Yes, please, Saskia, tell me something.
That was in my role as a project or program manager, where we handle high priority projects. It's a very high tiered project in the company, so that comes with a certain amount of weight and of power automatically. If I say automatically, I still need to, of course, activate lots of influential skills, because if I don't do that, my power per se will not be effective.
No, I can see that. Yes. And you say I've got some power because that comes with the formal position and the weight of this program you're managing. All right, thank you very much. Can somebody who has said I have little power, please, can you explain a little bit about why you choose number 1? And unmute your mic. No? No? Okay. Well, and somebody who chose number 2, would you care to explain a little bit? No? All right. Still, I would like to have one more person. So maybe one of the threes. Can you explain what made you choose for the three?
Okay, maybe I do that. I'm Eddie. I work as a program manager at
Yes.
A company. I'm a contractor.
Yes.
So not an employee of the company. That already puts you a bit in, you know, like you never call the final shots. So you always have to influence the customer and convince him this is the way to go, and gain the power from the customer, in fact.
Yes.
That's why I chose 3 instead of 4.
Yes. And you also see the relationship to the formal organization you choose. Yes, as a contractor, it's different than if you are the project manager within the organization. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your ideas and your talk, because this is really what we are talking about in this workshop. There are several ways in which to categorize what helps, what makes that you are allowed to influence others, to exert power over others. And there is one way, Mr. Mark Mulder selected some ways to do that. And one is what we already encountered, is the formal or legitimate power. It's the position in the organization or in society. You know, top managers have power, policemen have power, some teachers have power. It's the formal position, the legitimate. You know, you have the law or the customs or the things in the organization, the authority in the organizations to help you. And usually it goes together with sanctions power. It means that sometimes in some situations you have the power to punish and reward. Punishment is, of course, with the formal power from policemen or the judge or whatever it is, but we also have in organizations a punishment power. It's not really, because usually it's not about, but it's about, you know, you might be punished or thrown out, or you might be punished by not asked for something. And you have different for the rewards, you know, there are different ways to have a reward in the organization. The third we call the expert power. Well, you have a lot of knowledge and skills, and this is what Eddie told us, that how to use your knowledge and skill as a power basis, so you are credibility to be followed and to follow, that the customer can follow your advice. Now the fourth is a little bit more complicated. It took for me some time to mention. It's the model power. This is the power you have because you are seen as an example. People want to be like you. And if they want to be like you, they will be imitating your behavior. And this is a way for you to determine what they're doing. Nowadays, we have a lot of influencers on the social media. And it's also, why do people follow an influencer? Because they want to be a little bit like them. So if the influencer uses something or tells something or how do you say that, advertises a product or whatnot, you have a model power. And senior managers in a lot of, or directors or whatever they are called, sometimes they do have a model power. These leading captains of industry, sometimes they do have a model power and people want to be like them. And we realize that there is another one, and this is called the network power. This is called the power you have. That is not what you know, it's who you know. When you were a little child and playing outside with your friends, and sometimes one of them was bullying you, maybe you told them, listen, when my big brother comes, he can teach you a lesson. You know, this is one of the network power. It's influencing you. It's not you who are strong enough, it's your brother. Well, this is called the network power, and it's called the network power that you are able to influence via somebody else, or you can work with it. Well, this is, we are all used to use it, different kinds of power. But what is the thing is in this workshop, we regard power as a part of a relationship. And it means that power resources need acceptance. If people do not believe you have knowledge and skills, or if they don't value your knowledge and skills, then you have no expert power. And if people do not follow, want to follow your leadership, I don't know if you remember when you were in school and you had a teacher who had formal authority but didn't want to read it. Well, this is what we do. So here we are with the power in the eye of the beholder, and here we see that power resources need acceptance, because if you're not acceptable, then it's not useful. So you can, but you see also that sometimes power comes together. Do you have the legitimate power and the sanction power and the expert power? Well, then you really have a lot of power sources to determine the behavior of others. Well, I told you about this power play, and I really want to say very shortly that we have what I call the old power play. I mean, you have all heard of Machiavelli, who wrote Il Principe, the ruler, or the king, or whatever it was. And I don't know if you ever read the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Well, if you Google him and you go to YouTube, you find a very amusing YouTube film, animated, and there's lots of things about it. But the common thing is that here is the laws of power, which is sometimes strong power arms or whatever it is, but mostly it is about silent, curious way to manipulate others. And this is what we think. We think this is a horrible way of using power. We don't want to use power in that way. We know it's there, but this is why office politics have such a bad name, you know, and nobody wants to say. And the people want to say, I don't want to have power. It's ugly. It's horrible.
It's evil. The evil power.
Evil power. We don't want it. No. But here comes the catch. There are new ways of going with power, because power itself, it's just there. I mean, it's how you use it and how you react to it. That's what calls if it's evil or not. It's not the power itself. There are differences between people, between things, situations, so it's all right. So we talked a lot with managers and directors and project managers and governance experts, and we said, what are you seeing? What are the new ways the governance comes? And here they say, well, values are important. Nowadays, you cannot say this and that is allowed, so we can do it. You must ask, do we want it? And one of the things is that all the manipulations, they only be effective if they're hidden. So if you are transparent about your power dynamics, then it's all right to use power, because you have to go on. And I mean, you want to get your results, and you cannot think that if I talk long enough, everybody will agree. No, sometimes you really need power to go on. But this comes with the responsible use of power. So I've chosen these three values, and transparency and responsibility, to really think, yes, if that's how you go on, you can give an answer. You are clear and you know how you want to use it. But this requires that you shed off all your automatically responses from power. So this is why I think that talking about power is not so much talking about theory. Theory is not so very complicated. No, it is about how do you use power. So here we have a small case, and this is what I like very much. Liz, you prepared this case about an innovation project which you had in one of your some time ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that would be great. This case is about achieving innovation. And I know that project managers work in all different kinds of organizations, and they have all different kinds of objectives. But at this time, I was working for a global logistics company, and we were trying to achieve innovation in a process to serve customers better. The thing is, though, whenever you try something new within an organization, it's pretty tough. You know, there are always people that think it's a good idea. There are always people who are sitting on the fence, and then there are other people who think it's the dumbest thing ever. And if you're if you're trying to deliver a process, you're always working over different business lines or over different functions, and that means that legitimate power, you don't have it, because you report in one column, but you need to convince all the other columns that they should join in, and they should put their shoulders to the wheel. The other thing in a project like this is that all of those different functions have their own objectives, and this new idea, this new process, for some it was a benefit, and it would help them achieve their objectives. For others, it was actually conflicting with their objectives. So the big question was how you're going to get this done. So I came up with a proposal, and this is a global organization. And the first thing that all these senior managers said, that will never work because France is different. So I said, fine, give me 6 weeks. I'll make a pilot. I will prove that it works in France, because if it'll work there, it'll work everywhere. So off I went. And then I came back and I said, here are the results. So now everybody's on board, at least in the room, they're all on board. And they say, okay, start the rollout. And in that process, we had to announce it to the sales teams so that they could go to customers and they could sell it. But to do that, you need to convince sales that it will work, because they're not going to waste their precious customers on crazy ideas if they don't believe that it will work. So I went to the different business columns, and I hired a documentary maker, and I told her these are the key things that each stakeholder has to say. So each element of the business, she had a great process. She got them to say all the right words. We made short films of 90 seconds, and we used that first to train sales to convince them it would work, and then later to convince the rest of the organization that it would work. And the real secret to the success of this whole process was that all of those senior managers who were on those films, they actually went on record saying why they thought it was a good idea. So then they couldn't turn back. There was nowhere to go. So what sometimes happens in projects is that people say yes and then later change their minds. That door, I tried to nail that door shut. And the process itself was pretty successful. So ultimately, what the organization got was a new process that sales believed in, that customers started to buy, and that started to work. So yeah, so that's the case. And
Oh.
and now I think that we're going to, actually now I think I'm going to pass the baton back to you, Carolien, so you can manage the rest of the process.
Right, thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful case actually about how you used all your powers and relations to work out. Listen, let's go to the breakout rooms to discuss this case. And I invite you, Margaret, you can put us all in 3 to 4 persons breakout rooms. Liz, Early, and me, we will join the first group, but we will also, as a sort of co-host, we will jump from one group to another. So we will just support you in doing it. We ask you to work in the group. You are in 4 or 3 persons in the group. Work with the 3 questions I put down below, and divide the time over the participants and the questions. You know, so please try to work in the time. I have got it 6 minutes past 5. So if we work for 19 minutes in the breakout rooms. So can you set the clock, or can you check, Margarita, that at 6 minutes before time, so we will be all back in the plenary session. Can you manage that, please?
Yes, you want us all back at 5:25 CET, correct?
Yes, please.
I'm opening the rooms now and you will be automatically assigned. Have fun.
Yes, and I will put this in the in the chat. All right.
I will stay in the general room, so the rest of you, please feel free to accept the invitation and join the breakout rooms.
Thank you.
I see half or 2/3 of the attendants are already in the breakout rooms. Carolien, your room
I come.
Can join.
Yes, thank you. So I just put it in.
Jack, please feel free to join as well, if you would like. Welcome back. Please note that you're still on mute when you return to the main session, because this is the setting for the main session. If you wish to speak, unmute, please. I hope you enjoyed the discussion.
It was a good discussion, definitely, and very much similarities also you hear. So that was really good. I'm curious, because in 4 minutes we're done. So how does it work? Will it be extended? Will it just end at the specified time, the discussion?
Yes, it ends and everyone returns to the general session. They're already here. They're welcome back, everyone. Please note that upon returning from the breakout rooms, you're on mute. So if you wish to speak, please unmute.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes. So, we're all back, I think. Yes, I have prepared some, where am I? Here. Yes. Well, did you have a good time in the breakout rooms? Yes, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to start. You think, what am I doing here? And somebody couldn't see the chat anymore, so we didn't have the chats to see. Well, anyway, the 3 questions. I hope you did have a good time, and I do hope that to listen to you. Could you tell me something about your key takeaway? What did you learn, or something like that? And can you also tell me a little bit, what do you differently tomorrow? And you can tell me, or us, is better to say, but also please write it in the chat, because here we can capture what's important for you. And talking is important, but writing down is also important. So please share something in the chat and tell us about it. Yes? What are your takeaways from your discussion, from what you learned? What did you learn? And what do you do differently tomorrow?
One takeaway is that it
One
was
takeaway
very
is all right.
similar
Yes.
in the 3 with the other persons in the chat room.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of similarities.
That's right.
And that we all could find, I think, recognizable things in the case presented.
That's good. Thank you. Somebody else? Write it down, please, Jacques. Somebody else? Yeah. Changing a difficult situation. Yes. Similarities there are in the case presented. That's interesting. Thank you, Magda.
Yeah.
Yes,
Change.
Jan? Yeah. Learning to delegate. Thank you, Joyce. That's interesting. Yes. What's more? Yes. People don't like change, and we are very good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going very good with the chats. Lots of persons. Yes.
Can I chip in? Can I chip in?
Yes.
I have to apologize to all the other breakout rooms, because I felt very much at home in breakout room 2. So I stayed there the whole time.
That's very good.
Yeah, and but our group was really interesting, because all 4 of us were in totally different organizational roles.
Yes.
And as we talked through them, we started to identify how we were all using the different kinds of power.
That's interesting. Yes.
Yeah. So even one person's busy starting her own business to train project managers. Somebody else is working as like a team support. And then and another person is just a project manager working remote, not working in the office anymore. But we were all really, all deploying the different types of power in a conscious way. So that was, for me, an important takeaway.
That's more. Yes, thank you. I've seen a lot of takeaways in the chat, and I thank you very much for it. Yes, various kind of power at play, influencing, yes. And all stakeholders need to be involved. Yes, that's true also. Yes, yes.
I don't know, sometimes there are certain stakeholders that I want to avoid being involved.
Because there, yes, that's also true. It's
You know,
not,
there's always the guy who throws the wrench in the works.
yes. Yes.
So avoidance
but
behavior.
Once you convince these guys, you have big power then.
Yes.
Yeah, or you find a way around them so that you don't have to deal with it.
Well, there are lots of things here to do it, but if I'm a project manager and I need to keep the time, and we are running to the end of our workshop. But what interests me is that one way or another, there is a lot of experience and knowledge in your group. And you see that it's also important that when it is about power, it's also to recognize what's going on. It's not so much like you have to do or know something. It's really like you have to clear your spectacles. I'm wearing spectacles, you know. So if my spectacles are fuzzy, I can't see clearly. So what I want to do here is to do that. But what we are going to do now is you are very much welcome to continue the dialogue. And I think I picked up some issues that are very interesting. I picked up about, you can talk about stakeholders who are there. Do you want to have them or not? You can talk about cross-functional projects, and you're kind of having, this was very interesting, the discussions about the vertical and the horizontal power, was it? Or aligned verticals are always, you know, the difference between horizontal and vertical. It was in group Mukta was there, and Sven was somebody else. Make sure the sponsor speaks up. That's also important. So you are very heartily invited to stay, and we can more dialogue, and you can talk together. If you want to have more dialogue, the Foundation GoodGovernance.NU, we offer dialogue sessions also in English. We will work up the site. So put yourself on our mailing list, send me an email, and then I can put you there. You can link with us, with Carolien de Monchy. I'm on LinkedIn, and Liz Early is also on LinkedIn, and you can find us there. And then we can change and tell you much more about how to handle power, how to get a license to lead from different kind of issues, how to figure up your guts to get your glory. Well, this is some of our workshops we plan to do in the future. Thank you very much for attending and for showing. And when we get the results of the chats and the poll, we like very much to make a small comprehension and send it to you if you are agreed.
Yeah.
Jacques, I think it's for you to close us.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say too much anymore. I just want to thank you. It was a very good session, very interactive. It's very nice. Everything went smooth, and if someone is still interested, we still have 2 more days to come. We have the special event in Luxembourg, who is in person. You can join it. And for those who are really crazy, they can attend here in Belgium the online session about meeting the invisible president. So, but once again, Carolien, Liz, I really want to thank you. It was really worthwhile, this session. Thank you a lot.
We had a lot of fun, and time flies. I can't believe an
that's
hour is
true.
gone.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you a lot.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stopping the recording now. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It was a great session. You will have access to the recording, to the presentation, and also to the script of the chat after the meeting. Thank you.
So now that we're off record, who wants to gossip?
Yeah.